Sie.
Is that a signal that I'm the only one who has lemon in the water? So I should drink it.
Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to the staterooms of the Albertina Museum and to this press briefing. We'll start with the statements of the Foreign Minister of Austria, Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovakia and Slovenia, and afterwards you'll have the opportunity to ask a couple of questions. Now I will hand over the floor to the Austrian Foreign Minister, Michael Linhart.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to welcome today the foreign ministers from the Czech Republic, from Hungary, from Slovakia and Slovenia. It is great that it is now Austria's turn again to be host of the Central Five meeting, and for me the first time to receive you here in Vienna and to be together with you. As you know, the Central Five format was established in Vienna in June 2020 with the main focus to enhance cooperation in our fight against the pandemic. Since then, we have had meetings in all participating states, and the C5 format has become a crucial platform for our neighborly cooperation way beyond managing the COVID-19 crisis. Our neighborhood continues to be a top priority of the Austrian foreign policy, as I have declared that many times now since I have taken over that position. Beside the COVID-19 crisis, the focus today will be on two subjects: economy and Eastern Europe, Eastern Partnership, Russia. We think that although the pandemic is not yet completely over and we still need to make efforts to overcome it, we have also to look into the future and to look into the economy, to accompany our companies and look for the recovery of our economies. This is why, and this is especially because we as mid-sized economies, as we are the Central Five, we are heavily interconnected and we depend on foreign trade. That also means that we were hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. Even though our economics have been recovering better than expected, especially since the beginning of the vaccination campaign, there are still many challenges ahead. This is why Austria has started the Refocus initiative, our new strategy. That means the largest global business outreach so far and part of our government's economic comeback plan after the corona crisis. Our aim is to return to our pre-crisis economy strength and bring 500,000 people back into regular employment. To highlight our joint efforts to get our economies running, we will be joined today by Professor Gabriel Felbermayr, the director of the Austrian Institute of Economic Research, and discuss these issues in depth. Ladies and gentlemen, Europe's economic strength and power lies in our unity. Part of that are our Central European alliances. We have the potential to be an area of know-how and growth. To underline this joint effort, we have the plan also to visit the Expo in Dubai together as Central Five, as a strong Central European alliance. To deliver the joint message, we are back in business and we have regional potential for Europe. Second point, Eastern Europe. The second topic we will address is the Eastern Partnership and Russia. We want to keep engaging with other Eastern partners, especially in the run-up to the summit in December. I met with the president of Moldova, Maja Sandu. She was here yesterday and during her official visit to Vienna. And I also talked with the Ukrainian foreign minister yesterday. Our message is very clear. We want a strong partnership between these countries and the EU as well as Austria. On Belarus, the repression and prosecution of opposition figures journalists and civil society in Belarus is for us unacceptable. We will continue our strong engagement with the civil society, and sadly, the negative trend continues. We condemn using migrants as a weapon against the EU. We have also discussed this last Monday in Luxembourg. Those responsible must and will be held to account. And finally, on Russia, we need a multifaceted approach. We need to work together and engage where possible, but also draw clear red lines where it is necessary. Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Well, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to thank my colleague, Michael Linhart, the new Austrian foreign minister, for organizing today's meeting. I mean, jumping right into the fray, he has shown that Austria wants to play an active role in promoting regional cooperation in Central Europe. And it stands to reason that we need to encourage regional cooperation more than ever. Regional cooperation is much needed not only in terms of fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, but also it can help spur economic growth, encourage cross-border cooperation, and promote people-to-people contacts. I mean, this informal gathering of 5 Central European countries, called Central 5, was set up to make the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic more effective. And I must say, it has done a lot of useful work during its short existence. After our last meeting in July this year in Mělník, a contact group was set up at the level of directors general at our respective foreign ministries. I mean, this contact group continues to communicate very effectively and helps facilitate the real-time exchange of information concerning COVID-19 restrictions and other health measures in the C5 countries. It also acts as a sort of a hotline, if need be. Although a large part of the population of our countries has already been vaccinated, the pandemic is still not over. However, it is necessary to look to the future, as it was pointed out, and talk about how to revive our economies, which have been hit badly by the COVID-19 pandemic. The post-pandemic recovery will figure prominently in our discussion today. But because we are not out of the woods yet, and unfortunately there has been an upswing in the number of infected people, we have to stay vigilant. The only way to protect yourself and your loved ones is to get vaccinated. So please, my message to the citizens of our 5 countries would be, please, if you can, get vaccinated. It is the only way and our only hope for returning to our lives as we used to know before the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, the C5 meetings can also serve as an informal platform to discuss current foreign policy issues. And I look forward to our exchange of views on developments in the Eastern Partnership region, which is one of the priorities of the Czech foreign policy. Now our eyes are set on the upcoming Eastern Partnership Summit in December. And as I mentioned during the last FAC meeting in Luxembourg, this upcoming summit is an ideal opportunity for the EU to show our commitment to the Eastern Partnership, and also we should match the resolve of those Eastern Partnership countries willing to deepen their cooperation with the EU by offering them more incentives. In addition, the Eastern Partnership Summit should offer some way forward for Armenia and Azerbaijan to move closer to finding a diplomatic solution to their long-standing dispute. Recently, I visited Armenia and Azerbaijan, and I spoke with both sides, and I was encouraged by the willingness of both sides to talk. And I believe that the EU should be more active, and we should encourage Armenia and Azerbaijan to take advantage of the Eastern Partnership Summit. Last but not least, regarding Belarus, we must oppose the reckless behavior of President Lukashenko, who continues to weaponize illegal migration to blackmail the EU. Therefore, we support imposing yet another round of sanctions against the Lukashenko's regime. The new sanctions should hit the regime and not ordinary citizens, let me stress this. And to the Belarusian people, the Eastern Partnership Summit in December should demonstrate that we have not excluded Belarus and that the EU is determined to continue supporting the Belarusian civil society. We should also meet with representatives of the Belarusian opposition on the margins of the summit. That's pretty much it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jakub.
Dear Michael, thank you very much for the invitation. Good afternoon. I think we Central Europeans can be proud of ourselves because of representing rationality and common sense in the debates about the future of Europe, which is definitely full of challenges, both when it comes to the economic and the security-related chapters. During the recent months, our economies have been performing pretty well. Our Central European economies are among the quickest restarting economies. But I do believe that we need to ensure security in this region in order to be able to maintain this quick recovery of our economies, and I would like to address that chapter a little bit more than the others, if you don't mind, putting into consideration that we have to be faced with additional security challenges now here in Central Europe, posed by the fact that massive illegal migration has now new resources following the withdrawal of our forces from Afghanistan, and new routes as well. We have already been used to, unfortunately, to migratory pressure from the south and southeast, and now we are faced with the challenge from east, as it has been referred to by my two colleagues, Michael and Jakub, already. But as long as the obligatory quotas are on the agenda in Brussels, even in a hidden way, with a very interesting grammatic attempt to call obligatory quotas sponsored returns, but everybody knows what this whole thing is about. As long as the protection of the borders is being considered as a humanitarian or a human rights issue, which is scandalous, because protection of the border is a matter of security. And then as long as there are irresponsible statements made by our colleagues in the EU, which can be understood easily as an invitation, there will be a big pressure on us. Until this morning, the number of illegal migrants who wanted to violate our border in the south, the external border of the EU and the Schengen area, has reached 100,000 this year. And we had a terrible development 2 days ago at the vicinity of the Austrian-Hungarian border. We do our best in order to protect the external border. We have spent 1.5 billion euros already. But we do have to speak very clearly in this regard, that we Central Europeans will continue to protect ourselves and Europe. We continue to protect our borders, and we continue to help each other's efforts in this regard. We are grateful for the Visegrad countries for sending policemen when it was the most necessary. We are grateful for the Czech Republic having Czech policemen now on the southern border of ours. They were involved yesterday in a couple of very successful actions in order to push back again dozens of migrants who made attempts to break in. And we are grateful for Austria for the continued discussion and dialogue on how to protect the external border of the European Union. We have to ensure the security for our countries and our citizens, otherwise we are not going to be able to continue as a growth engine of the European economy, but we would like to do so. Dankeschön.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you very much, dear colleague Michael. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on your appointment and say how much we value the cooperation that we've had with your predecessor, who is now Bundeskanzler, Alexander Schallenberg. He was the driving force behind the C5, and I'm absolutely certain that you will continue. In his shoes, I wish you well. And two, I have to recall what he said when this C5 was established: neighborhood matters. And I think this is still valid as we see it these days. There are three topics as were announced here. First one, and all of them are pertinent and very, very timely. First one is COVID-19, certainly. Second, economy, and then Eastern neighborhood. On COVID, what should I say, actually? I thought when we met recently in Prague and before in Bratislava, we were all hoping that this COVID-19 pandemic, this would disappear. And I have to paraphrase Michael, not only it is still here, but we are experiencing still in these days increase of those who are infected. We are not yet there to be on a peak, and we don't know when the third wave will be over again. And therefore I cannot agree more with what Jakub said, namely the only response can be, I think, a combination of unfortunately restrictive measures to protect our people, at the same time in parallel to expedite and speed up vaccination. We still have a problem in Slovakia with vaccination because elderly people, mainly the most vulnerable, remain the most resistant. They still hesitate whether they should get vaccinated. So we need to speed this up because there is no other recipe at this moment but to be vaccinated. Economy is not everything, but without it, everything is nothing. Good news is that while we suffered a lot last year with the GDP drop in Slovakia, almost 5% this year is much, much, much better. Nevertheless, the economic recovery is very fragile. We all are now confronted with the rising prices of commodities. Our industry is suffering a lot from that. Therefore, I'm very glad that our prime ministers, who are still, I think, or were up until these hours in Brussels, they were dealing with that yesterday. I'm very glad that while we're trying to tackle this problem of rising prices of electricity and gas, mainly, we managed to decouple that discussion from our ambitions regarding climate policy. Of course, climate measures and our ambition will not be for free, but we cannot give up on that ambition because there is a huge responsibility for all of us. And thirdly, I'm looking forward to discussing Eastern Partnership. I should be more diplomatic maybe, but it is not in a good shape. Not the project as such. It is irreplaceable. There is no other alternative but to keep it, Eastern Partnership, as a project. Yet if you look at where the countries are, which are participating, then one has to see all of them are in one or another conflict amongst themselves, as Jakub has referred to it, between Azerbaijan and Armenia. You have Moldova still, you have Ukraine, you have Belarus, which is not externally in a conflict, but rather, which makes it even more difficult. The president is in a conflict with their own citizens, and here I'm joining you, Michael, that we have to stay firm and make clear that what President Lukashenko is doing is just unacceptable. But we need to engage more with these countries. They're differentiating themselves. The 3-1 Moldova, Ukraine and Georgia have established an association triangle. But in Azerbaijan, which I visited this year, there is obvious readiness to engage more with the European Union, which I want to welcome. So, in other words, I thank you, Michal, for having us here in Albertina, in these picturesque premises. It's a wonderful place. We are discussing very timely and important issues, and once again, I wish you well and welcome to this C5. Thank you.
Well, Michael, receive congratulations as well from my side for your appointment as a foreign minister. We were discussing before about your first 14 days. Well, it's not the easiest part. I mean, it will not be any easier in the future, I can reassure you, but it's the beauty of life. Actually, I'm very glad to be here in 16 months of C5 format. We convened and meet already 7th time. We are now in the second round of meetings among us foreign ministers of Central 5 countries. And I'm very glad that you continue the initiative Mr. Schallenberg started here as well in Vienna. And I look forward as well for today's discussion. As you know, Slovenia is right now a bit above the half of our presidency of the Council of the EU. So I shall inform my colleagues about the state of play of Slovenian EU presidency. We just concluded EU Western Balkan Summit with a final declaration that put forward some tangible results. And I'm glad that this format that was introduced during Slovenian presidency, so informal EU Western Balkan Summit, will become a regular forum of discussion, and the next summit will be during Czech presidency to continue and to see the advancement in the region. However, I urge everyone that we should not lose eye on the region. Some development in some countries of the Western Balkans are not as we think they should be. There are still some security issues that might arise, so we have to be all together very involved in the region. And I know that the countries of Central 5, we are all very interested in investing our time and resources in bringing region closer to European integration. We will discuss as well regarding the Eastern Partnership. In recent weeks, I met 5 ministers of Eastern Partnership countries, foreign ministers. Yes, last week we started to negotiation regarding the draft declaration that will be issued in the margin of the EU Eastern Partnership Summit. There's still a lot of work to do, and I will be very happy to see our exchange of views on regarding inclusive or exclusive talks with certain countries of the Eastern Partnership. Actually, this will be the first physical meeting after 2017, and this will be a good opportunity to proceed with all these setbacks we are witnessing now in relation to Eastern Partnership. Actually, there is one issue I would like as well to raise. It's the soaring of energy prices. If you remember, my colleagues, we sat together during the second wave of COVID pandemics, and we were exchanging our plans how to tackle the issue, and we exchange for free the ideas that proved to be successful, and as well I think we should proceed with the same pattern in a discussion of the rising energy prices. We have a different energy mix, but I'm sure we have some best practice in each of our countries. And as European Commission issued its toolbox on the 13th of October, now we know where the frameworks as well. We shall think what else we can do. And this discussion is especially important in light of our common goal, Fit for 55, and a green transition that is as well on our tables in order to go ahead in further years and decades to come. This would be more or less everything from my side.
Thank you, Anže.
Thank you. Time will permit 2 or 3 questions. Are there anyone? No question?
No questions.
Yeah.
I'm Thomas Heuss from Austrian television. And I just wanted to ask you, Mr. Linhart, Poland was a big topic now at the EU summit in Brussels. And did you talk about that as well? Have you got a joint position on this, this dispute of Poland with the EU? And are there Slovenia and Hungary on board, so to speak, as well? Because they have had similar quarrels with the European Union already.
We have just started our meeting, or we're going to meet each other right now. I can just give you as an answer that what our Chancellor Alexander Schallenberg has already said yesterday. It is clear for us that our European values cannot be negotiated. This is a clear position that we have, but I'm very much in favor also of having an open discussion and a dialogue also with our partners in the EU in general, and with Poland, of course, in special. I think we have to talk. We are all members of this union. We have to transmit our positions very clearly. This is there as well. And we have to think if we need some measures if our messages are not clearly listened to, or are not arriving. There is this discussion in the room. We take it serious, but I don't want. What I don't want is that these connections are somehow breaking somewhere in. And there's still a lot of room, I think, of having a discussion and a dialogue and to listen. I think this is extremely important. I'm against of having a division of in Europe of the good Europeans and the bad Europeans.
Have you got a joint position, all the five foreign ministers on this topic? Have you got a joint position? Are you unified in this question?
Well, as I said, we have just we're going to start our meeting now.
But sorry, I do not recall that Slovenia would be in any kind of infringement procedure you mentioned before. Can you be more specific?
No, I just wanted to mention that there were already discussions between the EU and Slovenia. About,
we are currently presiding over the EU. If you meant that, I can just tell you that I followed the discussion in European Parliament regarding it. Was a very heated discussion.
But may I ask you to tell me if you are in a joint position with Austria?
You of course may ask us. Slovenia is a presiding country. We are a honest broker. We are trying to get all sides together in a dialogue, and we always call for a dialogue in that sense.
No, can I say something? Because there is elephant in the room. We didn't come here to have common position on this. Could I say it as it is? We have 3 topics on the table. They're very timely. It's COVID, it's Eastern Partnership, it's economy. This is the essence of cooperation of these 3 countries. We're not the platform that should enter into dispute of anybody with anybody. There are other channels of communication. It's a matter for Poland and European institutions, for European Court of Justice and European Commission. Let me add to it one thing. This problem has 2 levels. One is of legal nature, and I think solution can be found, because true is that these type of decisions which Polish Constitutional Court has made is not the first one in the European Union. There were many similar rulings of national courts, constitutional courts, and we could live with them. So a solution can be found on that. Second problem, however, is of political nature, and here I'm using the opportunity just to share my view and invite everybody just to de-escalate. just to de-escalate, because the last thing that we need at this moment in the European Union is to engage and then go down with the negative spiral of relationship between member states and institutions. We need exactly the opposite, to pull together and deal with the issues which are on the table here. So I remain confident that this can be overcome if there is political will, but we have to de-escalate this point. It is doable.
For the matter of de-escalation, you have mentioned Hungary also in a very friendly and concrete manner, as we are used to, unfortunately. I have a very clear opinion on that, and this is that the Polish government has been carrying out a patriotic policy, which definitely goes against the liberal mainstream, and they are successful. And we understand that this package cannot be digested by the liberal mainstream itself. That's the reason whatever the Polish do, whatever we Hungarians do, we are always under attack. We are always under attack. And you always have this false connotation. You always have to fight with perceptions. What did the Polish court say? The Polish court said that there are clear competencies enshrined in the treaties of the European Union. There are issues which fall in the competency of the member states, other issues falling in the competency of the community. And if there are issues which are falling in the competence of the member states, there it is obvious that the national law is being given a priority. That's what I said. And instead of having a legal type of discussion, which would be legitimate, they are again attacked in the European Parliament and said that they are not European and, you know, the Polexit and all these kind of stupid things. What I don't understand is why we are missing mutual respect in European and international relations. Why, if a government carries out a policy based on national interest, is being under attack and being considered as non-European? This is unacceptable, and this brings nowhere. This brings nowhere. If you want European Union to be strong and united, then we have to respect the positions of ourselves instead of stigmatizing each other, which is usually the case, and I have to say it's really, really unacceptable.
Yeah, if I may just pitch in, look, a lot has been said, but you know, we've come here to discuss different things. I mean, not Poland in particular. And let's not forget what this C5 cooperation is all about. I mean, it's about our part of Europe and our cooperation in this part of Europe. And this is essential. So, and although we said we were not going to discuss Poland, it seems like we are discussing it. But really, let me recall what I believe Ivan had to say. It's that. Really, I mean, it's not for us. Let's have our prime ministers discuss it. I also believe that we should try to calm things down because, look, it all gets pretty emotional, and yet I think we need for the cool heads to prevail. I think this is important. And let me just stress that I believe that Poland is such an important and valuable member of the European Union, and we should really encourage, you know, finding a way, you know, how to resolve this dispute. It's going to be difficult, but I think it's quite obvious that it will need more time, and we should at least agree on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Through down.
This concludes the press briefing. Thank you for your interest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.